How about being unlucky? Okay, having a stupid disease, big check mark against. You are unlucky if you have this disease. Period. Um, Even though I'm a slow progressor, um, my onset occurred about 10 years earlier than the median age of onset. The median age of onset from my research is 60. So I have less time than some other individuals. Like they before this disease hit, that's suggesting when this disease hit your average ALS person, their life, they've lived a great deal of their lives. Their kids, if they have kids, are grown usually, and there's, I don't know, I don't want to compare myself to them. But we were when this news hit us, we didn't tell the kids for a while. Like, you don't want to tell your kids that. We let them learn on their own pace that dad's got some issues and they're not going away, and dad's going to need help. And fortunately, dad has been able to do a lot of things beyond what we were initially told. So I feel lucky and unlucky. It depends on your perspective. Um, okay, so I've been living a long time with this. I started touching on the average case. Um, the median life expectancy after diagnosis is about 3 years, and that's life expectancy. Basically, it's saying 50% of people diagnosed will die in 3 years. Um, that's not even talking about disability. The people who live beyond that are living with significant challenges to their mobility, to their general health, their ability to breathe. That's For those of you who don't know, ALS ultimately goes after your ability to breathe. And even before, like, it's not quick either. It starts out, it can be quick, but it often starts out as you become exhausted with very menial tasks, very low energy tasks drain you, and you need breathing aids. Non-invasive first, and then if you go that route, you can get mechanical breathing. So, sorry, I'm just collecting myself here. Is there a secret? Do I have a secret? No, I don't have a secret. Um, I'll be adamant about this. I've read a lot of stories about other people living a long time with ALS. Great. I'm happy for you. Um, I read some articles, and I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, like especially someone with ALS. But I read some articles that some guys crowing about, with my positive energy, I'm never gonna die. I'm gonna beat this disease. Um, I'm never gonna say that. I'm positive because I'm having an easy time with this disease. I don't think it works the other way around. There might be a tiny component. There might be a placebo effect. I don't know. But in general, I don't think you're going to live 10, 15 years on positive energy. I think when people crow about that, it's insulting to people who've got a progressing disease of no fault of their own. They're not negative people. One of the most positive. Sorry. I'm gonna try to get through this quick. I want to tell this story. I might not look right at the camera. I don't know why. I'm gonna see my own face. One of the most positive people I've met was diagnosed with this disease about 2 months before I was. He was diagnosed in late 2016. His name was Peter. And I'm just telling one story. There's lots of stories. um, he was there at our first support group meeting, the first one I attended. and me and my wife were crying ourselves silly because we were new at this, and we didn't want to hear this crap. And Peter was sitting right next to me, and he's handing me a tissue, I think, and said, I was like embarrassed about crying. He says, "Don't be embarrassed." And he called himself the original cream puff. He said, I think that's what he said. Those first days are probably the hardest of the disease. And Peter was always positive. Okay, be glad you're not in the room with me. Be glad I'm pausing this a lot. I'm going to try to get this out. Sorry, I got to do a better job of containing my feelings. Um, I feel bad about this every day. I think about other people that I know that aren't as lucky as I am, and I do shed a tear for them every single day. Peter was extremely positive. He gave us words of encouragement. He was strong. He made the first meetings bearable and then fun, and he was a fast progressor. There was a meeting where I had just taken a fall at the supermarket, and everybody was doing some kind of intervention trying to get me to give up the walker and go to a wheelchair. Peter was in a wheelchair. He had a voice synthesizer because he'd lost his ability to speech at that time. When we met him, he was still talking, but he progressed fast. And with his synthesized voice, he called me. I'm not. I think he used an expletive. I'm not going to repeat it here, but basically called me a coward for not wanting to go to a wheelchair. And that just made me laugh. And he was right. But you will never hear me boast about my positive energy keeping me going, keeping me young, keeping me healthy. Peter was extremely positive, and it might have given him maybe it did give him a little more time than he had, but the 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 dominating factor was the disease. It's capricious. You can't tell it what to do. And again, the posters who are saying these things like I'm gonna live to be 100. I'm doing great. I've had it for 15 years. I'm happy for you. And you're not doing this intentionally, but I think the words do hurt people. I'm worried about when I'm showing off my videos about how I'm swimming and how I'm doing other things. I'm offending people. I do apologize if I'm doing that. I don't know if you might not want to hear what a great time I'm having when you're not having a good time. And I'm not claiming that at all. Like there might be some effect. I think it's tiny compared to the disease itself. I think if it's having an effect, it's giving me slightly more time, if that. I think my version of disease, and it's still so not well understood, is responsible for me having a slow progression and being able to still get along with my activities. Excuse me. So I don't have a secret. Um, why do I exercise? Because I can, because it makes me feel good, because you would too if you still could. In the beginning, when I didn't notice this ALS, I thought it would help, and that's the reason why I made it a priority. Like I was very work a lot, and I just decided I'm not going to work as much. I'm not going to put in 60-hour weeks. I'm going to get to the gym, even if it has to mean I'm skipping a meeting. I'm just going to tell them this is important to me. I'm worried about my health, and work has been great. I've been fortunate in so many avenues, and that's one of them. Work has been understanding. They let me initially come into the office as much as I wanted to, or work from home. And the quarantine has actually made that paradoxically easier. Um, Not going into work initially was a handicap. I was missing out on impromptu meetings. The few meetings that were broadcast electronically, there was one microphone in a room full of 20 people. I couldn't follow a meeting. It was so hard to hear. Now everybody's home and on their own microphones, and I'm in the loop. So you keep doing what you do. You don't give up, and that's not like bravery. That's what anybody would do. If you can do it, you do it. Um, do I think the exercise is helping? I don't know. I do. I already talked about the realities. The numbers don't bear it out. The athletes and active military, first responders, they get ALS and they die too. They don't live on and on and on. Um, the 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 people I do see living on and on, they don't look like athletes. um, and it's just a disease again. But I'm hoping there's some benefit. And I'll just keep doing it because it makes me feel good. Um, but you won't hear me talking about my positive energy getting me through. I had a guy. He works in the AL. He works. He's like an ALS provider. I don't want to say his name. He helps people with ALS. And when he came to visit me, he would crow on about how positive I am and how negative the others are. And I had to stop him. I'm like, I, I'm positive because there's nothing wrong with me yet. They're negative because they're going through hell. You, and like if you tell me you're positive, if you give me a compliment, I'll take it. Thank you. Um, but don't compare me to others. I'm not better than others. I'm luckier than others for most part, as far as I can tell. So I just want to make that clear. Sorry, I'm belaboring this. Um,